From Tales in Stone by TDR. Petrified Wood. The first thing I remember was her, a brilliant white creature, glowing with radiant light and full of warmth. She gazed down at me as she held me in her hoof. I could feel her joy, the love and warmth pouring from her. There were others around us as well, but none of them mattered, only her. She lowered her hoof, watching me, placing me in the cradle that would hold me. A small whisper of her voice reached me as I was laid to rest. "Grow strong, little one." I felt as she pulled her hoof back, running it over the top of me, covering me. As the roar of those around her faded, I slept. I saw the sun again, emerging from my dark cradle to stretch myself out in the world again. The creatures ran about around me, occasionally stopping to watch my growth with interest, though never for more than a heartbeat or two before they were gone again. Young ones played around me as I grew taller. I watched them get older and grow larger as well as the seasons passed. Before long they vanished, occasionally glimpsed, before they vanished completely. Like the young ones, I could see their town. I watched it change and grow as well. I was still young when the fires came. I was not spared the terrible heat. I tasted the blood of the fallen, and writhed and twisted as the town burned around me. I watched the fire-bringers be driven out, saw that the town was left as little more than ashes and rubble. I saw the villagers leave. I saw the sun and moon battle for control of the sky, a great and terrible thing to behold. I felt the power of the one who placed me, and saw the face of the moon change, saw the day and night return to their normal state, though the ones who had lived near me did not return. I was left alone for many seasons. Other creatures came and went as I grew. The town crumbled into ruin and was swallowed by the wilds. Soon the remains were overrun with others. The seasons passed, and I grew taller and stronger. The others growing around me struggled with each other for space to allow themselves to grow, but none rose near me. My shadow falling over them kept them at bay from even leaving their cradles. I was far beyond them. I towered over them, having basked in her warmth and love. None could hope to match me. My pride at her belief in me letting me grow far larger than the others of my kind, and far stronger than those who grew around me, even those I sired. Some of my children were devoured by the creatures of the wild that now surrounded me. Others were carried away by the wind and water to find their end far from me, or to start life anew. I never knew their fate, and it was never a concern. It was the pride in my growth and towering form that ultimately brought me low. I cannot tell how many seasons it has been since the sickness took hold in me. In a blink of a rainy night, a blast of heat, light, and pain drove a lance into my core, burning my insides as the great fire of long ago did my skin. It was not long before I began to rot around the char that wound left inside of me. I suffered for many seasons as the rot grew. I felt it would fill me, and I would soon fall and meet my end. It was then the ponies returned. I awoke from my fevered dreams to find all those that had risen around me were gone, the land cleared back for leagues. For some reason I was spared, as the others were replaced by homes and structures for the new village being built. It was then I first saw him, the one who would cure me and become my master, the first who had spoken to me since she did. He rested his hoof on my back, speaking directly to me. "You have been through much. Though you are still strong, you will do nicely." The pony cut into me, digging deeply to burrow out the rotten pain eating away at my core. I felt the pain of his work, but also the relief that the anguish was being removed. The searing flame of his touch burned, yet it also cured. When he was done, the last of the rot was removed. The hollow of my being was reinforced, strengthened. I continued to grow, but this pony helped to shape me, molded me into what I was, what he wished me to be. A home. Seasons passed, and the town again faded around me. I knew not the reasons, but I knew my master had a part in them, and the crystals that had been collected by the town. The others, left by my master, remained practicing his magic in peace. He granted some to me, and took my offspring, and created new life from them that did not exist in the world before. He made fast creatures, with lives measured as his own, letting them free into the forest to serve as its guardians and caretakers. He was visited at times by tall, thin creatures who watched his work, though left in disgust. He did not seem to care at this either, and continued his work. He used my offspring to create a new life and growth. The strange creation grew rapidly and faded just as quickly, as it throbbed with the heart of the forest, and bore the most spectacular fruit. In time he closed my door, and left me for the last time, never to return, and I was left to grow wild again, though after the time spent with his warmth, I no longer wished to be alone. Seasons passed, and the town grew around me again. I was found and investigated by other ponies. The vermin and other creatures that had taken my master's place within me were driven out, and I was restored in the center of the growing town. I was visited often and filled with tomes and books. Secret places and hidden hollows were etched through my form as I was adjusted and repurposed, as I grew strong again from the attentions given me. Soon I saw her again. She who controlled the moon drew close, and then her power was removed in a burst of light and love. It was then that I saw the Radiant One again. She looked at me as if she still knew me, and gifted me to a new master. Again I became a home to one who cared for me. I suffered for her care, however. My sides were split. I was ripped from my cradle and left in the sky. Her fire-bringer caused me no end of pain as well. Through it all, she was there to repair what was done to me, to heal my wounds, and as such I did my best to protect her from the world. Soon others joined her, and they brought more pain with them that needed healing. My master's fire-bringer was taken, and the town was again set to blaze around me. She left me again, that time setting out and stopping those that attacked. It was then that the mountain fell. It had been there as long as I could recall, the only thing I knew that had grown taller than I, and it fell tumbling down before me, intent on crushing me under its terrible might. But it was stopped. I could see the others that stopped it, but I felt my master's magic as well, swelling to unimaginable heights, stopping the mountain from destroying me. When it was done, the mountain remained above me, though part of it was much closer. I expected the ponies to leave, though they did not. They recovered and rebuilt. My master soon left me with her fire-bringer, though another took up residence. She was not the same, though she too cared for me, called me a home. Seasons passed, and so did many of those who dwelt in me. Many things happened, but I have become too old and tired to recall them clearly. My master came back to me, without her fire-bringer this time. She had changed greatly since I last saw her, although so had I. I was no longer able to protect those who lived within me. I could no longer hold myself up to the sun. The last of my children had departed seasons ago, and there would not be any more. My time was up. I knew this as I knew the sun would rise. She seemed to know this as well, and stayed with me. She hugged me, crying for me as I passed on. My last image of my master was of her weeping for my passing, and holding one of my children with her wings. The first thing I remember was her, a brilliant purple creature, glowing with radiant light and full of warmth. She gazed down at me as she held me in her hoof. I could feel her joy, the love and warmth pouring from her. There were others around us as well, but none of them mattered. Only her. She lowered her hoof, watching me, placing me in the cradle that would hold me. A small whisper of her voice reached me as I was laid to rest.
"Grow strong, little one."
I felt as she pulled her hoof back, running it over the top of me, covering me, as the roar of those around her faded. I slept.